right, guys, starting up the live, and we'll wait for you guys to join. And I have a Chromebook down here where I'll be able to watch the, hopefully, be able to watch the comments come in a better way. All right, we got a couple people in. Welcome to the live chat. All right, very good. Zachary James, welcome. You've been with me for quite a while with this. I was thinking about, people kind of come and go from my channel because it's kind of a diary style of shaving. And so once you've learned a bunch of stuff, you can, go on and watch other things where there's only so many things you can say about shaving, right? And so sometimes people come and go, and that's just a natural flow of things. And but my friend Linus jumped in a month or two ago and said, "Man, I've spent so many hours watching this one blade shave," and that was impactful. Saurav, very good. Welcome. It might go to 1,000 shaves. It really might. Hakime, very cool. Michael, 4-digit shaves. Yeah, sort of. That might be pretty cool. Mateus is here. Linus, yes. Yeah, I was just talking about you, man. If you just joined, you were one that I know has been with me from the very beginning with this razor. I'll show you guys the blade, but let's look at the other stuff. And I do have a tablet here that's pointed to the Reddit page, the wet shaving. I put up a top level comment there about this shave. And so you can definitely ask questions on the chat here, and I'll see them there and I'll answer them here on the video. But also, if you long term, Reddit might be a good place to put it. Bookmark that, and you can make sure you put questions there too if you want. Hey, Walden's here. Very cool. Michael says, "At what point are you shaving with the blade versus the blade shaving you?" That's awesome. Okay, so we've got the 3D lather bowl that I've used so many times. It's printed for me by its designer, Roger Quinn, and it's great. Hey, just a little, I've got a video that I'm going to come out soon for about $3, Dollar Tree ingredients here. This is a great lather bowl. I epoxied glass beads that I got from Dollar Tree into this Dollar Tree melamine bowl, and this shape is perfect for lathering. So be on the lookout for that if you want a cheap lather bowl that still works really well. All right, Buzz. Hey, man, Buzz is another one that's been with me for a long time. We've had great conversations. And I remember one time he would have a sandwich and a drink and watch a video. And then one time I had it was either an error with the video or something, but the video was only 5 minutes long or something. He didn't have enough time, he said in the comments, to finish his sandwich. The brush we're going to use today is that exclusive that I've been using for a while here. If you want to have one of these, you may not be able to get the custom colored handle and the engraving, but it's the Zenith B35. It's a big 31 millimeter bore brush, and it's going to have backbone for days. But I'm hoping to get some nice soft tips with that one. We are maybe 13 uses or something into that brush, so it is still young. However, I've been doing hairdryer treatments on it, and so it's actually got a lot of split tips, that kind of thing. I'm doing a month of Sterling because of how much Rod at Sterling helped us to get that brush. I'm going to continue with that with one of my favorites, This on Fire. It's got a lot of character to it. It's outdoorsy. Yogurt brush? Yeah, that's right. Sora posted. There's a brand of yogurt that's available. It's called Oui, the French word for yes, and it has like a blue label usually. And I use that as my soaking cup because, as you can see, it gets narrower at the top, and so it holds brushes more vertically. And it works really well for all but the largest brushes. Yep, you got it. He remembers. Michael, that's right. It is soft compared to all the backbone that it has. What razor to use this with? On Reddit there, I posted a snapshot of some data I accumulated about what razors I had used with this blade. There are over 90 different razors, and most of them, however, were used just a few times. But for those of you who didn't see it, I don't know if you'll be able to focus, but here we go. So the top one there is what I'm going to be using today because lately it's been a really great razor to use with this blade. 86 uses, and this is the Timeless Open Comb 68 gap. So we'll be using that one. Stainless steel. Next, with 59 uses, was the Carve Brass Christopher Bradley razor, and then the Fatigué Piccolo, the black and gold version, 51 times. Yeah, I definitely remember a period in this blade's life where that was the go-to, and it was so good for many, many, many days. The Gillette Sheraton, yeah, it 49 uses so far with it, and it's a vintage one. It's open comb, but the way it grips the blade just works out really well. Yes, I could do a vintage razor, that's for sure, with that Sheraton. You know, that's actually right. See, Saurav has been traveling this journey with me, and so he remembers some things about this blade. Here's my little index card that I had to create. And inside of it, I fold up the blade. And then here's the original envelope. And I was able to fit 300 dots on this envelope before I finally had to quit and resume counting on this. So that's the reason for that. And he's right. You can see the glinting on this corner of the blade. I dropped the head of the razor that had the blade in it, and it was stuck in there, and it hit the ground and bent it up. And I did move it back just a little bit, and I didn't want to break it, but it does feel a little bit different, but it's shavable. And yeah, here's those verifying marks that I'm always talking about. I started out with a series of Sharpie dots along the bottom, and right here is one of them remaining. But then I decided that the Sharpie was going to wear away at some point, and I made a video back talking about how I was going to etch an N right there and a 1 right there, and so that's what those are. So let's go ahead and put it in the razor. And another little bit of trivia, howdy Jay, is that I always shave, except for one time, I did it by accident, with those marks pointing toward the handle. And this was just something I did in the beginning, a whim. I wasn't trying to prove anything, or I just thought, hey, let's try that. I'm not recommending that to extend blade life. It might work, but my point is, if I'm able to shave for 500 times or even 100 times on a blade that's only being shaved on one side, then those people who count their flips, as they do their shaves, it's not really necessary, I would guess, is it, right? So someday when the blade becomes unshavable, where it's not giving me, and this is my rule, a reasonable close shave in a reasonable amount of time, achieving reasonable closeness. Reasonable closeness meaning being able to walk into a job and not have somebody look at you, a typical job, not have somebody look at you and go, hey, you need to go shave, that kind of thing. Thank you, Akime. Yeah, this is really like this razor. The knurling here is very grabby. You could definitely buff some things down with it. But when it gets wet, it loses that kind of sharp feel and it's just a very solid grip. And I've always loved the timeless heads. Now the open comb here with the 68 is really aggressive for me when I have a new fresh blade in it, but that turns out to be an advantage when I have an old smooth blade in it. Aloha Wyatt is here. Gotcha. So, no, I'm not going to create a video about how to fix a bent blade because in most cases you just need to pitch it, right? But I think, what did I do? I must have gotten some pliers and just very slowly, I should have heated it up just a touch, like with a hairdryer. I just bent it very slowly and got it to where the little arc was just lower, and that's all I did. Jay, you mean this is not the end of the blade? Is that what you're saying? In that case, no, this is not the end of the blade. We haven't flipped it yet. It's going to keep on going, I'm sure. Kyle Germ KG. I remember there was a KG that I remember talking with on some other live shaves. Maybe that's you, man. Hey, no, nobody, you have not missed anything. We were talking about some of the razors that I've used with this blade. The Sheraton had 49 uses. The Dart was the razor that I started out using this blade in 2018. It was austere August, and we were going to use the same blade and the same razor all month long. I had never done it before. I didn't start out to be a marathoner. Matter of fact, I was looking back through my log, and I saw that on the 8th time I used this blade, I noticed, I wrote down, this is the longest I've ever taken a blade. So that's kind of funny. So prior to this Nacet, the 8 uses was as far as I had ever gone. And I was just at that time in 2018, I was hoping it would go the whole month. And it did. Oh, Akime's had the Gillette Blue Blade, 30 uses. Nice, nice. All right. The balm at the end of the shave is another high character type smell for me. I love the diamond scent, and I've got some of that balm here. We'll do that at the end of the shave. Get my face wet. AG, very cool. I'm glad that's you. I have been well. I appreciate that. I've been doing a month of sterling, and so with this brush, I have very easily learned how many circles, how many loads to do on a soap that hasn't been used for a while. 15 seconds should give me plenty of lather. 20 should give me way plenty. So let's just do 15. Yeah, my counter is in a different place on my camera now. When it hits 35, there we go. I really like the woodiness and the outdoorsiness of the Texas on Fire, the roastiness. Just got nice character to it. Oh crap, I forgot where I was going to stop. I don't know whether yeah, 35 I think. So that was 15 seconds, I think. Rinse out the side of the tub, the threading. Jay, do I worry that I've taken this thing too far? No, because I don't care. I don't care what people think. And mainly, why I'm using it now still is because I'm just really curious. I'm really curious how many shaves I can get out of a blade. And that's really it. With this brush now, it's pretty easy to splay at maybe 60%. That's pretty cool. Got a lot of backbone though. You can feel it. And when the blade starts getting kind of unshavable, I'm going to flip it over, see what happens. But before that, I would love to find a somebody with a good microscope because I'm really curious what the profile, what the shape of the blade is. Of course, it started out as kind of a conical, normal blade edge looking thing, but having so many shaves on one side, what has that turned it into? Shape of the blade is bent. Sterling, awesome lather as usual. This was just from a 15-second. See, Hakime, that's what I'm dying to know is when I flip it, will it jump back to some kind of original sharpness that it had like when it was 10 uses old? I'm really curious about that. I didn't remember the one time I told you guys that I had flipped it one time by accident, and sure enough, I did notice that it was an amazing shape with no issues at all. The water at this location is more soft than in the past places I've been, but honestly, I haven't really noticed like any great improvement in the lathers. I tend to have really hydrated lathers anyway. As I was looking back through the log of this razor, of this blade, I thought, how many times have I seen this remark? Tuggy on the first pass, fine after that. That was just, I saw it down in the 200 range, and it's all over the 300, 400 range. The first 20 shaves or so were kind of that crazy sharp feel that are tremendous. Then I noticed I started to feel it change a little bit. It required a little bit more concentration and effort. I was still having very comfy shaves all the way up to 100. See, that's over on Reddit, sort of asked me, how many blades do I have? And I have a ton. I have thousands because I love buying them in bulk. And it's hard to resist a good deal because so many times you'll, Gillette Silver Blues and Perma Sharps and all these good blades are just so cheap. And there are a few that work so well in certain razors that, you can have this magical experience for there's a treat brand, a certain model of treat where it just works so well in one certain razor. And I think it was like $5 for 100. But yeah, those totes you see in Walmart or whatever that are maybe this big, a little bit bigger than a large shoebox. So I got about 3 of those things full of blades. And no, the next time I pick up a Nacet, I'm not going to use it 500 times. Buzz, yeah, am I going to kill the wet shaving industry? The blade industry especially? I bet I'm not going to make a difference. But what I hope to is if there are guys out there, and I've received comments from some guys watching my channel where they're hard up for money. And when they watch my videos, they realize that they don't have to drop a blade after 5 uses. And it really helps them out. I'm glad about that. Jay, I don't think the wet shaving community has died down. I think maybe the hipsters have backed off that were on several years ago, but I think my guess is that it's still going about as strong as it was. Yeah, we should have Gillette coming in, Hakime, coming and trying to hack my YouTube account to erase this video because they don't want, Big Blade is trying to come down on me. That's right. I buy lots of blades. Now, when I'm using a blade that's not a marathon blade, I do use it 10, 12 times and I'll throw it, because especially if I'm evaluating different razors for you guys, the audience, then me shaving with a blade 60 times isn't really relevant to your shaving experience, because most people just don't do that. Oh, that's cool, Kyle. Straight razor community growing a bit. That's encouraging. See, Michael, yeah, binning at around 30, I think that's a great spot because it's good for the environment. It's easily achievable by many guys. It means you can buy any expensive blade that you want, like Bolzanos or Kais or Feathers or something like that, and it ends up to be a cheap blade. I think that's just tremendous. All right, I'm smelling the woodsiness here of the Texas on Fire. Let's get to shaving. I did eventually have to expand from the 3 passes. Ooh, nice movement here with the lathers really working on the head there to be fast and slick. I do short strokes. It helps me keep my angle just right. Tiny bit of tugging, but really not much. Shaving off about a day's worth of growth. This blade definitely doesn't like it if I do more than 1 day of growth. I experience a greater amount of tugging than I would like to in that case. All right, we'll rinse. Michael, if you've got good technique, a lot of times you'll find that you can use about any blade and you can make it work. If you're young in the shaving maturity level, then you might miss a lot of the nuances as well. So it kind of just depends on where on the spectrum you are. So just enjoy what you have, and yeah. See, Kyle was just kind of making my point for me there. Yeah. More experience, you're able to, and the adaptation to the blade, I'm going to bet that happens almost without you even thinking, All right, second pass. Now that first one, a little tug. At some point, I was trying to look through my log to be able to tell you guys where things happened, milestones, but looking through 500 different little note entries, even though I did export it into a spreadsheet, still took a while. So I thought, hey, let's get this shave done instead of waiting on me to do that. So, but at one point I had to move up to doing the 4 passes. At one point I did 5 passes to get the job done, but they're kind of quick passes, and so I didn't think that it was a problem. I didn't think it was an unreasonable amount of time. It was still falling under the half an hour because the passes were quick. Second pass here now. I am feeling the blade on my neck here, but it's just not bad at all. And it's so funny, as I was looking back through the history of the blades, and I would see maybe down at the hundreds, there was a certain razor that was doing really well. And then what my pattern would be is to go with that blade until I need to change. And then I'd hunt around for other blades. And so you'll see a bunch of different, not other blades, other razors. You see a bunch of different razors scattered into the spreadsheet there. And then I would settle back on probably one of those top ones I mentioned, like this one here, the Timeless, the Carve, the Petite Piccolo with the open comb, the Sheraton. Those are the top ones. And then I would go back to one of those, and then bam, it would snap back and it would be fine again. had some really neat razors be a part of this. I remember as I looked in the history, the Wolfman, the original Wolfman uh, Gorilla. I used it and I was like, holy cow, this is an amazing one. It was kind of neat. I've used a Psychotech. I've used a whole number of cool razors with this blade. A little water rinse now. Sort of asked if, on Reddit there, I noticed that he asked, where do I keep my inactive blades? Well, the ones that are kind of waiting to be used, I have in those big totes like I mentioned. But as I travel around, and as I might use a blade and then not use it for a while, because I rarely ever do a thing where I start using a blade and then I use it until I want to throw it away. I almost never do that. And so what I have is this little credit card type pouch, type holder, and it has this accordion thing inside. I've showed it on my channel once or twice, and I'm able to put about 3 different blades on each little pocket, and then I'll have, like in this little section, I've got my pole silver, and then there's another kind of pole silver, and then there's another, and usually there will be 2 of each kind. One that's my marathon of that brand, and then one that is my kind of daily one, the one I'm going to use to 10 or 12 uses and then pitch. Gillette Silver Blue, Feather, Astra, Treat, 7 o'clock series, Personas, Wizamets, Derbies. So I just keep them all in here, and when I close it, that's usually enough grip to keep the blades from moving around. And so then all I have to do when I travel, grab this, and I know I've got a blade in there that I can use. HD Shaves joins us. Welcome, man. Very cool. I love he. He's a good dude. All right. That's one really cool thing about the shaving community. Sorov, HD, Walden, so many of you guys, just awesome people. And getting to know different people as we move along here is just a really cool part of this channel experience that I just didn't see coming. All right, third pass now. Weather's about right. It could use a little bit of water, but it's got nice little creaminess to it that's pretty luxurious. So I'm happy with it. So third pass now. I don't go against the grain. And so I'm going to do cross grain again. And my face usually gets done pretty well. Now what I will do is start doing an upward slant like that. Very comfortable at this point. Inflating my cheeks to get some resistance pressure back, so the blade has something to work on. And this side right here, I'm going to gamble. That's not the bent side. I'll rinse out the blade and we'll see if we can check it out. Okay, I told you this one was the clean one, so that means over here, knock that drop away. Over here should be, yep, there's the bend right there. You see if yep, you can see it glint right there. So, yep, so I can tell which side is the bent side. Just doesn't matter too much. Occasionally I might have a misstep where that little bent piece might hit something the wrong way, but it's rare. How is, yeah, and we've got most of it taken care of here. I don't usually go against the grain, but as this has aged, I've had to do that a little bit. And how I do it, my grain goes across down like this. It also comes over here, joins that road and heads out that way. And so what I do is I'll kind of come sideways a little bit, and then I'll go slightly at an oblique angle and then come from the other side of that little river I was talking about. And that takes care of the hardest areas in our stubble that are just so problematic. So this is the fourth pass, just kind of a touch up. Light touch as always. And that's when you're marathoning blades, remembering to do a light touch is really important, because then you flip back to using a normal blade. And if you're used to bearing down more to make that old blade work, then you can get yourself some razor burn. But I always keep a light touch no matter what. And so I can flip with a 500 use blade back to a 3 use blade and be just fine. Oh, really, Jay? Is that true? A blade usage warning on the video? That's interesting. Hey, Greg. Okay, Jay was telling a joke. Yeah, there we go. Well, actually, that's a little bit relevant, because when I post my videos, it asks me, "Is this okay for kids?" And it seems really weird for me to put no. It's not okay for kids, because I'm not doing nothing weird. It's just I am using a blade, and they shouldn't do that kind of thing. But nice, cool rinse, very soothing. Greg, I'm sorry, man. Welcome, first of all, but you're not getting any video or audio. Yeah, it's just you, I'm afraid, Greg. Thank you, HD, for jumping in there. Sugar yeah, after dark. So we are using the Timeless Open Comb 68 stainless steel. It's been a razor that this would be the 87th time that this razor has been used with this blade. Next would be the carved brass. And I didn't mark which plate it was using. But one cool thing about this blade and using blades that are older is that I was not able to use the carve E or the carve F plates because they were too aggressive with normal blades. But with this blade, I was able to use those. I was able to use the Blackland Blackbird with this blade, and the level and the charcoal goods that was really aggressive for me, except when I put this blade into it. One thing I do with this blade, and I don't know if it's super important or not, but typically I will take it out and just put it on a washcloth and pat it flat. Very gentle, no wiping or anything like that, but just removing the moisture. And it's possible that that could do a lot for maintaining the blade's edge. I'm not stropping it or anything like that on my skin or on a towel or on jeans or anything. I just set it down on a washcloth here and pat it dry very gently in a flat kind of way. So that's it. Greg, at least you'll be able to go back and watch the video once it becomes live and goes into the kind of the archives there. So at least there's that. So what, 15 seconds of loading, right? And I've got 2 or 3 more passes of lather in here. And I did 4 passes. So that's some good looking slick lather. That's right. The blade had been shaved with for 2 years before the pandemic even started, and it's been through the pandemic. It's been through 2 or 3 lather games, austere August as well. Yeah, that's pretty funny. And just for grins, I'm going to use it tomorrow as well. It won't be the one you guys see tomorrow because I post on a delay, but the next time I shave, I'm going to use this blade again and go into 501. We'll call that the leave, if anybody remembers those. That's a good point. Saurav, you are full of insight, my friend. All right, let's put on that balm. And that's the 500. Jump in with any questions if anybody has any. Let me flip over to my Reddit thing and see if anybody has posted questions over there. I have that on my tablet. Yeah, there's a few questions. All right. Uh, One of those questions reminds me of something. I I know that with this blade I can use razors, and I've had to use razors that were more aggressive than I usually could enjoy. And so when I was putting together the little template for the data to show the top razors and how many were going to be useful, how many had been used, and I was expecting to see as some of the top razors, some of those that were really on the aggressive side, but that's not what I found. Looked at that today for the first time. Oh man, diamond. Oh, that smells so good. It's just full of character, outdoorsy. Love it. Um, so that of those razors, the Timeless 68 open comb is one that I have a hard time using with normal blades. But the carve, except for the plates, of course, the higher plates I don't use. But the Piccolo Black and Gold is tremendous. The Sheraton's awesome. The Dart is awesome for normal blades. And so most of the razors, in fact, that are in that top list are actually ones that weren't super aggressive, and it just worked out. Walden, I went through all of your video history, and this is only 499 FYI. Yeah, you're funny. I actually had a little bit of a scare. I put together I went to my blade page on my database, and I looked, and it was actually at 501 when it was supposed to be 498. I went back in my software and I found one record that had been duplicated twice more. And so when I deleted those two records, then it everything equalized out right. There are about a dozen that don't have videos in them in my system. And so that could account for, if you're counting YouTube videos, that could be it. But there are about a dozen, I think, where I haven't stored the video link for it. But by and large, all of the shaves for this blade have been on YouTube. Oh, Greg, great. He got his video. Very cool. Walden, you'll have to, if that's legit, I can find where the inconsistency was able to get that many unique uses out of my own database. So Akime says, I don't like menthol, which is correct. I don't like menthol generally. Margaritas in the Arctic. You know what? That is such a popular scent with Sterling that someday I think I'm going to try it anyway. But I don't think I'm going to like it because I have never liked a soap with menthol type stuff in it. And he says it's on the light side. So, but it's so ubiquitous, right, with Sterling that I think I am going to order a sample at some point. Ivermectin, hey man, he's one that's been with me for a long time. Greg, no, I'm not planning on flipping the blade for the next shave. I'm going to flip it whenever it doesn't work well, and I haven't reached that point yet. HD says, when is the blade getting sent off to be examined under the microscope? I really hope to do that someday, but my thought is I need to find who I could send it to. All right. Oh, my computer's not a touch screen, so why am I trying to do that? I definitely wouldn't mind sending it out to somebody if right before I flip it, because I think that's a good time to check it out, right? And I'm actually want to contact those MIT guys, I think it was, that did that write-up about the blades that many of us have read, and what causes blades to chip and things like that. I think they might be interested in the blade for one thing, and then of course they would have the equipment to look at it. Yeah. That's right, Greg. He does have a microscope. And so I actually, once I get to that point of maybe about to flip it or something, I might send it to Greg. Steven's probably right. Guinness probably doesn't concern itself with this kind of stuff. It's true. I actually have thought about doing something special with the blade when I do retire it. 500 times. Yeah, that's a lot of hours with one little piece of metal. Hey, Mongo, welcome. Good to see you here. Yes, it was a good clean shave. Okay, Michael says with the margaritas in the Arctic, the menthol is kind of well blended, and so it works. Who knows? Maybe I might like it. Yeah. Okay. Well, I definitely will have to try it then. Very cool. Some Reddit questions. Zamora said, read through your write-up. What's the end goal with this blade? What's the end goal with this blade? Do you have a use goal, or what's the determining factor in that it's reached its end of life? That is a great question. Um, uh, TSRBLKE says, will you go for 600? Yeah, I will. Probably get it too. The way this thing just doesn't seem to be changing, I would guess that I would get it. And I haven't even flipped it yet. But Zamora's question about what's the end goal? The end goal is just see how many shaves I can get with it. And I will stop when it takes too long to shave. Like if it takes, even my normal shaves can last 30, 35 minutes. And so if it takes a lot longer than that, then that will cause me to stop. If the closeness just doesn't get done, if I end up just having too much stubble in places that are visible, where your average guy goes to work and he is thought of as having not shaved properly, then that will be my cutoff. Um, and or if then the third one is comfort. So average a good amount of time, a good amount of closeness, and a good amount of comfort. If it gets really painfully tuggy, and I don't see that happening, I don't go against the grain, so that helps. But I think I would have stopped a lot long ago if I were an against the grain shaver, would be my guess. But even with fresh blades, I don't do against the grain. Um, but if I think this blade is going to degrade to where the effectiveness is what is the thing down rather than the comfort being going down. So I think that's where we're going to see the stoppage be called. Ivermectin. Don't worry about the thumbs up. That's all right. That's all right. Beginning of the video, it 8 was about what it was for a lot of the shave, and that's to be expected. This is just some dude shaving, right? That's all right. Jackpot is here. 500 shaves on one blade. Well, he only gets about 3 uses, and well, everybody's different. Um, but I usually find that your razor technique, your lather technique are really the key parts to it. We've even had guys take blades to 100 count when they had really thick Mediterranean beards. You can go to sugardaddy.shaves.com, and I've got a page there that says Marathon Secrets that talk all kinds of things about like what I just said, things to look at, considerations. And that also has another page that has a list of the blades that we have collected we've proven that people can take them to 100. And just about all the popular blades have been taken to 100 by somebody. So it's not a secret blade that does it. I think it's really a light blade technique. And I like a firm hold on the blade, one that's not making a bunch of sounds as it moves along, chattery. The lather technique I think is super strong, a super strong part of the success here. I have very wet lathers, and they focus on slickness, and that can make a big difference to protect the blade life, as the edge life, as well as your own comfort and safety too. Yeah, I find Nacet be pretty sharp in terms of kind of like the feathers and things like that. I think I think they do really well. And matter of fact, when I started this blade, I had maybe only used a Nacet a few times, and I decided to do Austere August in 2018. I decided to do it uh, with the Nacet to bring more notoriety to it because I'd just been enjoying it so much. I would really be interested to look at like SOTD reports, shave of the day reports with the Nacet, with the timeline like before 2018 and then after I hit 100 with it and that kind of thing. I'd be curious if the number, if there was a big variation in the uses of Nacet. Um, when I took the Nacet, I'd been shaving with it maybe 60 times. Over on Badger and Blade, there is a thread for the what do they call it? Long lifers, hypermiling. No, Excalibur Club. There's a thread for the Excalibur Club, and they are for guys that are trying to just get more uses out of the blade. And you can be in that Excalibur Club if you've gone to 20 uses or something like that. Well, by the time I found it and joined, I was at 60 uses or something. And so I definitely qualified. And most of those guys aren't seeing numbers like I am. A lot of guys are surprised when I post 498, that sort of thing. But yeah, there are other guys who do this as well. I'm not doing it because of cost. Blades are already fairly cheap. And if you use a blade for like 30 days, then that makes it super cheap, and you can just pitch it if you want, right? So I'm not doing it just to be cheap. It's good for the environment if we don't use as many blades. But that's not why I'm doing it, but it is good for that. It's I'm doing it because there are guys out there who have low budgets, and if they can learn and know that you can use a blade more times and be more comfortable, have better shaves with it, then that's good. I like that. I'm also using it as a platform to tell people about their technique. I've had a good many guys contact me and say, "Listen, I didn't think very many shaves were possible, but I went ahead and tried it, and I focused on my technique being what I improved." And then the longevity of the blade just naturally improved as well. And so if I can just help guys to have better technique and enjoy their shaves more, then I think that's a win as well, for sure. Even if they then go back to just shaving 7 days, if they have better technique and enjoy their shaves more, then that's a win as well. So that's kind of ivermectin. I think I'd kind of agree with his statements about the Nacets. Of course, blades are very subjective, and it also depends on the razor. If, for instance, ivermectin talks about Nacets and likes them, and jackpot there, assuming the V will say it as an A there, jackpot. But jackpot has a razor that doesn't really work well with a Nacet for a lot of people, then he could just have a whole different experience. So it can vary per razor, per user as well. Oh, George, hey there. Jason, man, I'm glad you joined. Been fun interacting with you over the comments in the last while. I'm glad that you were able to jump in. George says on UK eBay, don't sell any blades anymore. I don't quite know what that means. Maybe I missed part of the thread there. Jason, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. I'm glad to help. Oh, Mongo says there's some new UK regulation about shipping razor blades. Oh, wow. Hakime, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad to help. I think lathers are just an amazing thing because you can have a utility lather that gets the job done, but most good soaps, even, and of course Sterling can do it as well, but they can just, you can have a serviceable lather, but then work on it just a little bit more and get this luxurious, treat you like a king lather with a luxurious experience. And I think it's wonderful that we all can have that. Mongo, I have not heard that one. He says during his shaves, lots of times he stops and thinks, "What would Sugar Daddy do?" Oh man, whew, that's funny. Oh my goodness, good one, good one. Oh, a perma-sharp. Well, man, it just depends, Jackpot. How long should you be able to push a perma-sharp? Just, focus on your technique. And I can eat a perma-sharp. I haven't put it on a hyper-mile marathon kind of scenario yet, but I can easily get one to 20 or 30 uses. But if you could get one to maybe 5 uses farther than where you normally throw it away, I'd consider that a win. And then just keep working on your technique and just see if it naturally develops. But I'm not using the blade so many times that it's uncomfortable. I'm not sitting here enduring uncomfortableness. And that's what a lot of people assume. Because when I talk about this, they think, well, I'm not a glutton for punishment or anything like that. Well, no, the point is, I'm still getting good shaves from it, and so why not keep going? Mongo, that's hilarious. What would Sugar Daddy do? That's just funny. Now, Buzz has been doing it, he says, for almost 65 years. Okay. And in his experience, light technique and a well-hydrated lather are crucial as well. So thank you for the confirmation, Buzz. Okay. See, Jason is bringing in a pre-shave oil. That doesn't quite work for me, but some people enjoy it. Very cool. Let's see, other questions. Let's see if we have some from Reddit, if any from Reddit have jumped in. So I think I explained what Zamora was asking about the end goal. Will I go for 600? Yes, I definitely will. HD Shaves was talking about the Sheraton, and yeah, that was really interesting how the Sheraton was such a good user of this blade. And I think it's because the Sheraton has this neat little arc. We've got the open comb on the end as the side view here, and here's the handle. But this arc goes across, and there's nothing inside to hold the blade up because that arc that's a part of the base plate is what the blade is sitting on. And so then when the barn doors, when the butterfly doors there clamp down, you're getting the edge support from under the blade right at the edge of the blade. And I think it's so successful at being a great razor. Jason has commented many times that he was looking forward to this event. So Jason, I'm really glad that you made it. Yes, sir. Sorov asked, what was your last blade purchase? I've got a ton of them. That's a good question. One of you guys, I think it was either Impressive Donut on Reddit or North Sound Hamster, that sent me an Usta blade. It's a dirty blade. It's Usta is the name of the model or whatever. And I think somebody was saying that it was Turkish. The market was Turkish in the nation. And I tried it and I liked it so much that I bought 100 of them, probably eBay or Amazon. I think that was my last one. It's a low cost blade, but for me, several razors treat it really well. It turns out to me to be a great option, one that I hadn't even really heard of. Hakime, yes, I have used a glycerin-based soap before. I actually enjoy glycerin soaps like Colonel Conk. Sometimes those are made fun of, but I really enjoy. I get a great lather out of Colonel Conk. It is a luxurious kind of creamy type lather that works really well. There's not a lot of votes behind that type of soap compared to some of our artisan soaps. But if the artisan soap just vanished and all we had was Colonel Conk, I'd be happy because historically that has performed well for me. I may need to revisit it, because maybe I've changed a lot since then, but I like those. I did try in the Dollar Tree a Pears glycerin soap. It's a hand soap they have there, and it gave me a really nice lather. So if you're looking for an inexpensive soap, that's one that'll work. And a creamy lather that worked really well. Not much in the scent department, but a very workable, enjoyable lather. So yeah, I have used some glycerin bases before. George, have I used any Schick DE blades? None come to mind. I did get a Schick Krona razor, one of the butterfly razors, vintage. I didn't really like the way it shaved. It was a little too noisy for me because I don't think the clamping was very good right up toward the blade edge. It was kind of like the Super Speeds and a lot of the DE89 style razors in that regard. But I don't remember if I had a Schick blade to try in it. I don't think I've tried a Schick DE blade. Greg says he also has been shaving for a long time. He's talking about the technique and the lather. Very good. It's wonderful to have the shaving community be diverse in terms of age as well, so that we can have, I started shaving this way in maybe 2017, and it's great to have guys who've been shaving this way longer to be able to come in and not only help people, but to correct people and to keep things from going all wonky, and because I've definitely learned from people like Buzz and Greg and things like that, and even contemporary folks like HD Shaves has a great YouTube channel himself. I definitely support him, especially if you're a face latherer. You could probably learn a lot from watching him. Chris has another cut above. I think that's something like the name of him, another cut above with Chris or something. I enjoy watching his videos. Let's see, Kevy Shaves is enjoyable. I enjoy watching him. Michael Friedberg, of course, has this great wet shaving tutorial, and he's a good face latherer. He's got tons of content online. I really like his stuff as well. So there's a bunch of guys that are good. Yes, ivermectin. Those were the Derby Oostas in the green packaging. Let's see. I had one around here that I had been using, but I may have pitched it because I may have gotten it up to a certain point. I now have to dig the next Derby the next Oosta out of my packaging. Yeah, Jason, the Sugar Soapworks is another one at the Dollar Tree that is very slick and creamy. And yeah, 5 ounces from the Dollar Tree. Yeah, that's a good one. And it's got a nice scent on it too. All right, we'll close it up here soon. Make sure you jump in with your questions if you have any. I wanted to talk about one thing. I always generally will put my blade back in the envelope and keep it, somewhere safe. You can put a magnet on your bathroom mirror, and especially if you put your blade in the wrapper, then putting the blade then on that magnet is not going to rust the blade because the paper is what's touching the magnet. That's a good safe thing to do because it keeps it high away from kids. On Etsy, there was this company that would do 3D printing, and they had this little, almost like a cage, and it was low and flat. It almost looked like a tuck of blades in terms of the dimensions because it would house a blade, and you would have a little lid that you would open up, and then you'd put your blade down in it, close the lid, and it had air holes so that even a freshly used blade that was wet would have the ability to dry. But then the little container that it was in could be put anywhere going to dry. So someday I want to go buy a couple of those. The P1 Wizamet razor. George, what are you talking about? I don't know about that. Do I have one of those? I don't think I have one of those. Jason is liking his Henson. I haven't tried a Henson yet. He likes his Merkur. Oh, hey, the Muley R41. I did find that register in this blade's history. I did try it with the R41 at one point. It did not work at all for me. It was very, very aggressive, even with a high use blade. That's just got too much exposure for me. Jason, yeah, the Rockwell might be a good way to go for you. I remember seeing your question about that in the comments. A lot of people like their Rockwell. You can do the 6C and be cheaper, but then of course it's Zamac, so the 6S is going to last longer, but it'll be more expensive. Now I had the Rockwell 6S early on in my shaving journey, but when I bought my Carve Christopher Bradley razor, I pretty much immediately sold my Rockwell because at every metric the Carve would beat it. It had better blade support, and so it had a smoother blade edge experience. The with the Rockwell, I had the 2 or 3 setting that was really my happy place, and so it was a very small amount of the settings available. But with the Carve, I can use anything from AA, A, B, C, D, any of those, and then the open comb variants of those. And so Carve it was able to more fine tune my experience, and I had a lot more options to work with instead of just the 2 settings with the Rockwell. So I'm glad you chimed in here and mentioned that because I have been meaning to reply to your comment with that information. But yeah, I think the Rockwell 6S is a good solid purchase. Oh, especially because you like more aggressive razors than I do, and so you'll probably use those higher settings. But the Carve also goes to quite a number of high settings as well. So I think either one of those are a great choice for your next razor. Yes, Sakime, I used a straight razor probably less than a dozen times. It went pretty well. At first I did the common advice of using the DE on your neck and just doing the cheeks with the straight razor. That was very good advice. I treat it in a very conservative way. I actually have a good number of straights. I just don't shave with them too often. I would like to start getting back into that maybe when my mess of a storage area gets a little bit more organized. I'll be able to bring some straights more onto the channel. Okay, so the Wizamet razor, George says that I must have shown it at one point. I'll have to look that up and see. Yeah, it might have been put in a storage box and what I did was when I traveled, I had this storage box and I would put razors in on top of a towel, and then I would fold the towel over one layer, put more razors down, and fold it over, and that's where kind of my razors are. So it's a little hard to find what I want to find right now. So very cool. Put my diamond on and it smells good. Yesterday, guys, I put on some Damocles EDT, and I have learned that I so much more enjoy it when I put it on my wrists because I don't go nose blind to it like when I put it on my neck. The whole evening I went out, the whole evening it was smelling wonderful. And as you move your hand around, you get whiffs of it. And if you remind yourself, you can smell, and then it just was enjoyable the whole night, man. That's a great scent. So I enjoyed that. All right, well, we'll have some last questions. You guys jump in with those. I'm going to clean up my bowl here. Been great shaving with you. 500 uses. Pretty amazing. When I started using this blade, I didn't know if I was going to go to 31. And then I didn't know if I was going to go to 100. And I just kept on going. Hey, you know what we might do? We'll do a hairdryer treatment on this brush. If any of you guys are curious about that, I've done it on my channel a few times. But in terms of the Nacet, I think this shave is done. And so if you want to tune out, feel free. It'd be great to have you. All right, Greg, roger that. I have a ton that need to be honed, but I also, when I first started, I did buy my own stones, and so I might give it a shot myself. But a good honer, if I find a blade that I really like, then I might actually send it to a good honer like you to make sure that it's done right. So just towel stropping here. I'm not doing anything vigorous, circles and stuff to do any kind of bore break-in. I tend to be conservative on my bore break-in processes. Buzz, excellent. Good timing. Very nice. All right, so we will, you may want to mute your sound while we do the hair dryer. And this is to encourage tips to split and the hair, and we're going to use warm only, and we may use high speed. I may actually use cool though. Yeah, let's just use cool. With cool, I do use high speed. Vendor, we're trying to be gentle, and we're going to stop before the tips get crispy. We don't want that. All right. I think one of you guys, maybe Warren, has commented recently about a Zenith scrubby brush that he had, and he really appreciates the hair drying that I've been talking about because he had almost written that brush off. It wasn't maturing very quickly, and after just a couple, even maybe one hair dryer treatment, it really made it jump over a hump into a comfortable area where he was really happy with the tips, that sort of thing. These actually still have a good bit of moisture to them. I can really get in there and go slow with the hair dryer in that cool temperature setting. If I have warm, then I'll move more quickly through the tips. But I'm really looking forward to seeing what this guy does. He's just a big old wall of bore. And so when those tips just really split, and especially in the middle, I'm really interested to see what kind of experience it turns into. Was that Wizamet razor, was that an aluminum one? George, that rings a bell now. I remember from the razor tour, I think. See, Mongo, yeah, that's one of the reasons I like bores, especially the cheaper Simogs, because you can recommend them, and if people lose them, yeah, I mean, they're inexpensive, but if you just keep using them, they just get better and better, and they really come to a good place. Greg, thank you so much for joining, man. I appreciate you coming in. Yes, look forward to the live shave for the number 1000. That's hilarious. I have seen a good many videos from Ken Surfs. I have seen him, so I know about him. Hakime is one as well that the hairdryer has helped. Very cool. Excellent. Excellent. It's good to be with you guys. And we'll keep on shaving this month with Sterling, the month of March. And I've got a good many soaps to choose from. Here's that bowl I was talking about. It's a melamine Dollar Tree bowl. And this V shape turns out to be great for lathering. Now, other places, I think maybe Shave Nation has a similar shape, but it gets narrower here and then it gets flat right up here. And I don't think that shape is very conducive to a good lather. But this one, you're not going to bump your knuckles because of the flare out here. The bottom area is small enough where your brush is going to bump into the sides so much and cause the flexing of those bristles that gives you really good mixing action. The glass beads that I've epoxied into the bottom keep the brush from sinking down into the lather and getting the handle all messy. And so for just a few dollars, it's really, for the value, this is the pound for pound best lather bowl that I've ever had. I have contacted Symmetrical Pottery about buying one of their lather bowls. I have kind of a custom order in. It's been a couple days now. They haven't responded on their website, so it might take them a little bit, but I do hope to get one of those in at some point. Jason uses a clear teacup, and then he also has a ceramic bowl. Yep. Yeah, it's really surprising. I mean, the Dollar Tree has a great number of options. I had a bowl here before. Yeah, I put it away. There's a good number of options for good lather bowls. Yep. All right, guys, that's it. Thanks so much for joining me. Man, all the best to you. And we'll just keep using this Nacet, see what happens. We'll keep focusing on good lather technique, good razor technique, just see if we can elevate everybody's game to where they're even happier with their shaves. That would be really cool. Take care now, and we'll sign off. I might be able to see any messages if you want to leave them here, but I might not. But you can head over to Reddit if you want to. I posted a message there that says like Nacet 500 shaves or something like that over on the reddit.com/r/wet shaving. Yeah, wet shaving. And then it just sort by new, and it should be there. And you can post some questions there if you have them. That'd be great. Or just join any one of my other channel videos and you can ask questions there. And I'll be glad to help you as I can. All right. Hakime, thank you, man. Awesome. You guys, bye. Take care.